Good afternoon to everyone. Still morning, excuse me. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. As you know, we continue to prepare for the legislative session. I'm delighted to be joined by some of our members of the General Assembly today that have a great interest in education. And as we move forward to the legislative session, we will be rolling out different initiatives that will be a part of the governor's agenda before the legislative session. And next week I'll be talking about some tax cuts, and after the first of the year there might be some additional issues that we will address. But today I wanted to focus on education. Before I get to that, I did want to advise members of the media that we did receive the letter from Secretary Burwell that confirms the CMS granting the waivers that have been requested for Arkansas Works. It is accompanied by an additional letter from the acting director of CMS to Cindy Gillespie, along with the specific authorities and the waiver language. And so that will be available to you subsequent to this news conference today. I know that you're waiting on that. I am delighted to be joined by Dr. Maria Markham, my Director of Higher Education, and I see the Speaker has joined us as well. Thank you, Speaker, for your interest and support for this, well, the Chairman of Education, so we've got all the key players here. Part of the agenda I've already addressed in terms of education is $3 million additional funding for pre-K. That will be an emphasis upon quality instruction, quality teachers. Secondly, will be the second phase of our computer science initiative. $5 million is included in the budget figures, and that will be utilized for teacher training, continuing to build the proficiency among our schools for computer coding education. The third part that we've already discussed is the new higher ed funding formula that Dr. Markham and the representatives of higher education have worked very hard on, that will be part of our legislative package. Later next month, I anticipate discussing in more detail a reading initiative. But today, the focus that I wanted to present to the public as part of the initiative is a new initiative called Arkansas Future Grants. The elements of this are very simple, and this will give us in Arkansas the capability of providing full coverage of all tuition and mandatory fees at any public Arkansas two-year college or technical school for every student who enrolls in a high-need course of study. This is a fairly significant and dramatic change that will give Arkansas the opportunity to reach one of our major goals, which is to increase the attainment level for people of Arkansas, which right now only 43% of Arkansans have a higher degree or certificate post-high school. Our goal is to increase that to 60% by 2025. How do you accomplish that strategic goal in attainment? And the answer is this is one of the key tools that will help us to accomplish that. So often students don't feel like they can get there. They don't feel like they can afford it. Yes, they have a lottery scholarship, or yes, they might have access to a Pell Grant, but it still doesn't give them the level of confidence that they can fully afford even the tuition and mandatory fees cost at a two-year college or a technical school. This assures them that that will be covered. And so this will be available to any student who enrolls in a high-demand field of study, such as computer science or welding. We call it high-wage, high-demand jobs that will be determined by regions of our state. Thirdly, this is a last dollar grant. Students are required to use other scholarships or grants first, such as a Pell Grant or a lottery scholarship, and Arkansas Future Grants covers any remainder. Next, the mentors will be assigned to each Arkansas Future student to enhance progression and attainment of a two-year associate degree or certificate. Each individual institution will be required and will design their own mentoring program, but that will be a requirement to participate in Arkansas Future Grants. And this is a critical link to success because, as you will see, previously we've had grant scholarship programs, but they have a very low level of achievement and success, and it's because the students are there, they aren't mentored, they flounder, and they drop out. And so this increases the opportunity of success when you accompany a grant program with a mentoring program. Next, there will be a requirement for 8 hours of community service per semester required of the students who participate in Arkansas Future Grants. This is designed not to steal their labor or their time, but it is to broaden their education and their perspective to include a sense of the greater community needs through 8 hours of community service a semester. Following graduation, the student must work full-time in Arkansas for a minimum of 3 years. If the student does not fulfill the terms of the Arkansas Future Contract, then the grant is converted to a loan for repayment to the state of Arkansas. This is common sense. The goal is to meet the growing economic needs of our state in high-need areas, and we want them to not be trained in Arkansas and go to Silicon Valley, but to stay here, and this is a way to enhance that strengthening of that relationship with the state. Arkansas Future Grants, and this is obviously important, will not require new general revenues. The approximate $8 million price tag will be covered by canceling 2 current grant programs, which is the GO and the WIG, and using these funds for the new Arkansas Future Grant and Mentoring Program. And so we're taking what I see as 2 insufficient scholarship programs, converting them into an overarching Arkansas Future Grant initiative that will be more effective, that will be more encompassing, that will be targeted and be accompanied by a mentoring program with a commitment to stay in Arkansas. Finally, the Arkansas Future Grants will be available to traditional, homeschool, and non-traditional students. This does not include high school students that are currently taking concurrent credit courses. And so that is the outline of this. This gives us extraordinary opportunity in Arkansas to enhance attainment, to achieve our goals in terms of economic progress, but it is a gigantic step forward in terms of access to two-year college education for every student in Arkansas. And I would like to ask Dr. Markham, who's worked hard on this initiative, for her to make a comment. I think I caught you off guard, but
yes, sir.
I think she can handle it.
I'm happy to take any questions, but I'd also just like to thank all of those at the department and our friends at Arkansas Community Colleges for assisting with this. We feel like it strategically aligns the goals of our higher education master plan with funding for students, and it also complements the productivity funding model. So I think that we have taken some major steps forward in aligning the efforts of higher education with economic and workforce development goals for our state.
Perfect. Governor, for both of you, I have a couple of questions. In the application process, a student would have to demonstrate that he or she applied both for a Pell Grant and a lottery scholarship. That's actually part of the questionnaire, I guess, to prove that this is the last dollar funding.
That's correct, and I'll let Dr. Markham comment, but there's a one application that can cover all of that. So there's a good portal. It's very simple to verify that they access those 2 scholarships and that this will be the wraparound coverage.
And I can comment briefly about that as well. The financial aid programs at the institutions are able to determine whether or not FAFSA applications have been completed before they would award this scholarship in addition.
Okay. And the second question I have is whether or not in the 3-year period for full-time employment, if there's a way to put that on hold. I'm just thinking of an example of, a young woman graduates from high school, goes through the welding program, gets married, becomes pregnant, raises a child, and then in that 3-year period, she's faced with the dilemma of, do I work full-time or do I stay home with the child?
Excellent point, and there's other examples of that. One of them being that someone is incentivized to go get their 2-year associate's degree. They get it on this program, and all of a sudden they say, I want to get my major, I want to get my bachelor's degree in computer science. And so they will go on then and get their 4-year degree. And so certainly there will be some delay provisions that will have to be worked out by rule and regulation to accommodate the circumstances that I indicated, but also to address some other exceptional circumstances. The key is that they are not abandoning the state and going elsewhere, and that they are not contributing to the economy of this state long term.
Well, staying home with a baby is different than going to
Yeah.
Silicon Valley.
Indeed, indeed.
Of course, if a graduate has a, I think, out of Silicon Valley, isn't it likely they would take that and just repay the loan?
Could be, and that's something that's unavoidable, but we hope that they will be incentivized not to do that. But certainly, that's all it is if they decide to leave the state, then they got to repay the loan, the grant.
I wanted to ask, Representative Cozart has a bill that would allow the teacher fair dismissal act to be waived if a public school is in distress, and I was wondering if you supported that bill.
Let's say it again.
There's a bill that would allow the teacher fair dismissal act to be waived if a public school is being classified as in distress, and I was wondering if that was a free-fall bill that you supported as part of your education.
I look forward to listening to Chairman Cozart and to learning more about that initiative he has. Usually ideas that he has are very good. We'll take a look at it. Let me make just a couple more points here. One is that this ties in well with our Arkansas Works initiative. I shared this with our Director of Workforce Services yesterday. And of course, now, if someone is on the Medicaid expansion, they will be under Arkansas Works referred over to Workforce Services for whether they need additional training to enhance moving up the economic ladder. And so now someone in Workforce Services will be able to tell perhaps that minimum wage worker that's on the Medicaid expansion, we have available to you a means that you can get your welding certificate, or you can get a 2-year degree where you can go up the economic ladder. When I shared that with them, they were all smiles. And that is for a non-traditional student. So this applies to high school graduates, but also for those non-traditional students who will have to make sure that we have some residency requirements and some protections in there for the taxpayers. But this fits in well with increasing degree attainment, certificate attainment, but also fitting in with our emphasis on Arkansas Works. And then I also wanted to mention that in the 2 programs, the 2 scholarship programs now, or grant programs, GO being one of them, the dropout rate of the GO grants is over 70%. And so I think it illustrates that there's got to be more than money provided. That's the essence of the mentoring program, to help them alongside. And so we're taking 2 programs that can be done better and putting them into this promise to Arkansas students and individuals that they can go full coverage to any public Arkansas 2-year college and have it paid. So with that, thank you very much for, I think I covered it. Was there any other question?
Yeah, do you have an estimated number of how many students you expect to take part?
We had an estimate for traditional students, but since we have made the determination that non-traditional students should also qualify, we don't have a good estimate at this point.
And what's wrong with the WIG program?
I don't know that there's anything wrong with the WIG program. It's also being used as a last dollar scholarship for a lot of institutions, but there's not a lot of accountability that goes along with it. The GPA is rather low. There's really no requirement to maintain that award, and there's no requirement to pay back. So it's a nice help for students, but it doesn't hold the student accountable.
What does WIG stand for?
That's the Workforce Improvement Grant.
And I had a question about the fields of study. So is it just the computer science and welding that are or is it a wider range?
It's a very wide range. So those were just a couple examples, but the high demand, high wage fields of study, those are determined regionally. Department of Workforce Services produces those lists so that we know what jobs are in demand and what wages they pay in each area. So it will be unique to each two-year college what credentials are covered, but it will certainly be very broad.
Great.
Students currently on those programs be able to continue to receive grants? Okay.
Yes, actually, that's required. This is a stackable grant that would apply after the lottery scholarship and after Pell Grant and other forms of assistance.
Just wondering, since if WIG is going away, the students are currently on paid.
Thank you very much.